Fun way of exploring how the trail arm moves in swing is really track the path the elbow moves on both through backswing, downswing, and also into through swing. So locally, how the elbow moves is really in response to often what happens at the wrist and hand and the shoulder. So elbow issues are typically actually more kind of hand, wrist, and shoulder issues. So in essence, the elbow is always responding to the communication between the hand and the shoulder. But then very intuitively, look at how the elbow moves can then be very representative and actually a very playful way then of actually improving how the hand and shoulder then moves. So that kind of lovely bilateral approach. Elbow issues are actually more hand and shoulder issues, but to improve the hand and the shoulder, we can actually start to explore then how the elbow moves. So a really playful way of seeing this. If we move this player through backswing at the red line, as shown by the circle on screen, he's really tracking the path the elbow moves on through backswing. And certainly, again, there's always the caveat to this, so there's always these exceptions, but invariably exceptions are exceptional, which is why they are an exception. So anatomically, the definition maybe we could use is this would be defined more anatomically, good control for the scapula, the rib cage, the arm. So using these paths can actually then be very, in some ways, representative of anatomically how well that kind of scapula, rib cage are moving in the swing. So red line being the path the elbow moves on backswing. So often you're seeing the more advanced players, the more accomplished players, how the orange path being the path in the downswing is very closely aligned. There's not tremendous differences or adaptations or displacements in some ways between the path it comes down on relative to the path it goes back on. So very similar tracking of that elbow path and downswing relative to the path it goes back on. And then post-impact, yellow on in some ways, often what's observed in most of the very advanced players, the kind of the high performance players, is that path then tracks up through that trail shoulder into and post impact. However, displaying now a movement often observed in many occasional players or kind of recreational players, so very, in some ways, kind of typical and balanced we can see is the red line again being the path that the elbow goes back on in backswing. That very evident adaptation or adjustment, in this case the elbow going excessively behind the backswing path in downswing, is now shown by the orange path in downswing. That clear separation, how the elbow gets behind and underneath in some ways, and in many ways that's a driver then for the idea of pelvis thrust. So often what's referred to then is kind of hip extension. The pelvis is responding to the elbow path. So invariably many pelvis issues are actually hand issues. And then post-impact, what I start to see in that yellow line, how that elbow then starts to track up and above that kind of then trail shoulder. So typically, look at how the elbow moves in swing to be very precise, the path it goes back on, and then relatively the path it comes down on, and up through that trail shoulder through impact. Can be a wonderful way of exploring then how that trail arm, the hand, wrist, the shoulder, scapula are then moving and behaving in swing.